Well, this is part 2 of the pin drop that I was working on. I have the pin and dry ice. I did that yesterday. Again, this isn't a how-to video, but it's just kind of some of the work that we're doing. I will not have this part when we actually drop the pin video recorded because I don't have enough hands to do that. But essentially, we're gonna have to get that piece that's heating up right there situated in there just about perfectly, get the pin out of there and drop that. The pin is about 6 to 7 thousandths larger than the hole is, so if that pin gets stuck in there, that's not a good situation for me. Once we get enough clearance, we'll go ahead and take all the heat blankets off of there, remove the fire, get the forklift to put that in place and drop the pin, and pray that the Lord is going to allow us to be successful in this endeavor. Well, I just pulled the blankets off and checked our hole size. It looks like we are roughly the same size as the pin right now, and that's not going to work. We want it a little bit larger than that. We're already dealing with a very, very close time schedule with getting everything put in place and dropping that pin. Like I said, if that pin gets stuck, the problem we have is I have to cut out the entire pin again and start from scratch, and that's going to seriously hurt into the profitability of the job and my time schedule. So been praying all morning. Want to say thank you to J&J Machining. I don't know how many people see this, but they have been doing an excellent job for me with the line boring on these jobs, and they're in Houston, Texas. Real happy with the work they've done, but we've got a little ways to go. The mics I'm using are the Starrett mics, and they have excellent products, but this one right here is to check the size of the pin, and of course we check the hole with that, the size of the bore, and you can never be too careful. Check, double check, because you don't want anything to go wrong when the time comes. All right, today we're going to finish up part 2 of that pin drop. We got the pin in, of course. Now I've got to reload the bushings, and we're going to replace all the blades with new blades so that we can make sure that everything in the pivot group is shimmed up nice and tight and just the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to try to get set up and show the installation of the bushings and some of the other stuff. But again, I'm working on my own, so this gets a little bit tricky with filming. All right, if you're ever lucky enough to have the opportunity to change out bushings, you only want to do one side at a time. I learned that lesson the hard way. It will fall, the pin will fall down, and it'll be a nightmare to get back in place. So especially after a pin drop with these Genesis, or any shear really, you're going to want to make sure you at least get one bushing in while it's on its side. That'll make everything else a whole lot easier. And then especially with the Genesis, you can see that there is 2 chamfered holes right there and 2 holes with some threads right there. These are the holes that are designed to pull the bushing out. So you want to make sure that these are not lined up. There's some holes in here, I don't know if you can see, but that's where these line up. If you mess that up, someone's really going to be angry at you in the future. So don't mess that up. Gotta try and line this up. Sometimes it goes easy, sometimes it does not. Hopefully this one goes in easy. If you can't tell, I've already been working hard today. There's a couple bolts stuck in here, and they were not fun to get out. Finally got them to where we can get a new bolt in there, but it was not a pleasant experience. So these are our bolts that we're going to use to get these bushings down here in place. I have 4, sometimes I'll use 4, but usually 2 will suffice. these are locked in place, we'll just continue to tighten the nuts, which will draw the bushing down into that hole there. It looks like it's going easy. Thank God for that. If you can line it up on the shear, it makes it a lot easier as well. I usually use a little jack off of my truck, the jack to jack up the for a tire change. Works just fine. If you have a lot more money than I do, you can certainly invest in a little porta power or some other type of hydraulic or air jack. I found that little tire jack works just fine for me to help get it in place. For these Genesis shears, the bushings are the same size. For the Lebownies, one side is longer than the other. You obviously don't want to put the wrong side in, because that will create a lot more work for you. May have spoken too soon. This isn't going quite as easy as I was hoping. Obviously, you need to switch back and forth from time to time, or else you'll get these in a bind. And again, then you've got a whole nother issue to deal with. Well, we finally got that all the way in. It took probably about an hour and 15 minutes and most of my strength, but we got this side. Now we just got the other side to go. Hopefully that one goes a little bit easier. All right, we finally got this thing stood up. The equipment we were using was not optimal, but we got it. And so, again, I got this side done. About to get this bushing in place over here, put it in, and then we'll work on the blades. Got a couple of bolts. So this is the keeper bolt. Thankfully it's coming out nice and easy. That's what I like, when I don't have to do a whole bunch of extra work. That always makes me smile a little bit. Okay, good deal. Get all this trash out of here. Don't want that getting into the way, causing any problems in the future. So then we'll get the bushing fit up and put in. All right, we got it all cleaned up. We're gonna go ahead and stick in the new bushing. The reason why you definitely always want to make sure everything is as clean as possible is you're dealing with hundreds of thousandths of an inch on this type of equipment, and you want everything to be as clean as possible so that there's no issues when you put in the new parts. All right, we got the blades in. Clearly there's some welding that needs to be done, so I'm going to go ahead and build up these edges and make sure everything's flush with the tip. And then all that's left is get this thing shimmed up and put back together, and we'll have another one in the books. We got our blades in and all the welding done. Now we just got to measure out what we need here. We got to measure from here to here with the depth gauge, Got to measure on the end caps and the thrust washers to see what we need. I have it right up against the puck right there, which is the guide. Don't want to go past that because there's no shims in there. And then we'll shim out the blades and we'll be done with this thing. We finally finished it up. Got everything measured out, put it back together. The only thing I have left, got to add a little bit of shims on the blades. And this will be ready to go back to where it came from. I know there's not a lot of instruction. That's to a certain extent intentional, but you can see this was quite a bit of work, and it turned out, I think, beautifully.